Well,
Hello.
how you work.
Hello, and welcome to our fourth and final class of the October Advisor Ambassador Program. My name is Zach Hewells, and I work in the Marketing Communications Department for NAFA Home Office. Today we have a great speaker for you, Camille Tan. Camille has been involved in the insurance industry since 2003 and is an advisor in the Naperville, Illinois area. Camille has been active member of NAFA since 2004, including serving on the state board. She's currently the incoming state president of NAFA, Illinois, and she attends a lot of our professional development and networking events for NAFA. So I get to see her a lot. It's great. And now I'd like to turn things over to Camille so she can introduce herself a little more and tell you all about her topic today, which is optimizing time management and cash flow. Welcome, Camille.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Like Zach said, I've been involved with NAFA for a very long time, basically since I got in the industry, which has been a tremendous help to me as I grew my practice and as I grew professionally, and even made some changes in my practice along the way with advice and mentorship from a lot of the folks at NAFA. I can't recommend getting involved enough. Being a member is great, but being an involved member, it will really help your practice, and it will really help you develop professionally. And in a couple years, who knows, maybe you'll be sitting in my spot about trying to take the reins at the state level. So with that, I was asked to put together a program about optimizing time management and cash flow, which are two things that, as my husband would tell you, are very close to my heart, since I am supposedly the organized one of the two of us. But it is something that makes a very big difference, both professionally and personally. And I hope that the tips and things that I talk about today, well, probably not super new or revolutionary, are something that you can help with in your practice and even in your personal life, because this is an industry that is something that you kind of live, eat, sleep, and breathe. It's not something that you punch a clock and go home at 5 o'clock and let it and forget about it. So it is something that does tend to cross the lines and become a big part of your life, as it has mine. So speaking about time management, it's the never-ending battle. This is almost an exact picture of me the last couple of weeks. We've had a very busy week or couple weeks at our farm. The fall tends to get busy for us. It's just kind of how we plan it out. But on top of that, then you get your volunteer activities. And that was actually me probably accurately trying to put this presentation together a couple of weeks ago when I realized that what I had agreed to was now creeping up on me. So on top of all that, I have on the bottom there, oh, by the way, don't forget to pick up the kids from practice, because as we all know, we have our office stress and we have our home stress. So it kind of never ends. So hopefully you'll learn some things or put some things in practice that might take just a little bit of stress off of your life and help you succeed that much more. My life is devoted to my practice. It's also devoted to the things I enjoy in life. I live my life to the fullest, as a lot of people will tell you, as Zach could probably attest to. I am an avid scuba diver. My husband and I are very passionate about that. We both teach as well as enjoy it on our own. And actually, I love these pictures, because anything where I'm wearing a hood, the water is definitely below 60 degrees. We do dive. The background of the one picture on the left is the Chicago skyline. We do dive in Lake Michigan often. Off the ones where I'm not wearing a hood, that's where I'm somewhere fun and warm, and usually with my family, which is very enjoyable for me, and one of the reasons I work so hard. The other big part of my life, other than my family, is competitive swimming. So I balance a very heavy workout load, if you will. That's something I'm very passionate about. It's something that I enjoy. It helps keep me grounded, and it helps me blow off some steam. So as you can see, I kind of have a full life. It has to do a lot with water for somebody who lives in the Chicagoland area, but we make the best of it. So with that, I have a lot on my plate, as everybody else does. I also have a blended family, so I deal with those issues as well. So I think there's a lot of things we can all identify with in struggling to balance out our lives. So time management, what and why? So one of the topics when Zach had asked me to speak about this is something I'm actually very passionate about, because I have seen in my time in the industry so many people who otherwise are probably incredibly talented people and could do very well in this industry kind of fail at that time management balance. And that's a huge reason I've seen people fail at this industry, and through no fault of their own, other than it's very easy to lose track of your time. I'm sure we can all attest to days where we thought it was going to go one way and it goes sideways pretty quick. So that's something I find passionate with working with new agents and people that I mentor, is really coming up with a solution that works with you. We all have a balancing act to carry out on any given day. You know, we have case prep, we have prospecting, client meetings, agency meetings, our personal life, gym time, sports time, volunteer time, church time. The list is pretty endless for all of us. I'm sure we could probably keep going. But that balancing act is something that people often, whether it's our industry or other industries, struggle with. So in our industry, unfortunately, we don't punch a clock. So there's the benefit of that, and there's the we don't punch a clock, and it's very easy to have things come in onto our plate that are not going to help us succeed in the business. So it's a decent time management becomes incredibly critical to success in this industry. Life balance, right? Achieving balance. Fact or fiction. I think everybody has their own version of a life balance. I think some people I've seen in this industry be very successful with a balance that might seem strange to people, where they work really, really hard for 3 or 4 months during their busy season and then maybe take some time off and then come back and hit it really hard. Or, you know, people who take Fridays off because that's their day with their kids. So there are some unique solutions in this industry which are achievable. You just have to do it right, and you have to know what your idea of life balance is. For some of us, it's very skewed towards work because a lot of our social activity might take place at work. I know a lot of people who in our industry who networking, that's a big part of their business plan, but it's also part of their social life. And that's great when those things meld. The kids, the home, everything is kind of a balancing act. And I'll fully admit it's a work in progress even for me. There are weeks, like I said earlier, the fall becomes very busy for us at work. So sometimes it gets a little, my home life gets a little messed up, but I make up for it with, I can take some time in the holidays and enjoy my family. So I like to say it's a balancing act that we're always struggling to find the balance, but overall, everyone has that picture they're striving for. And if you work towards what is your life balance, you're at least on the right path. Priorities. I'm sure everybody has seen something like this, but I love this grid because I love the little cartoon, but part of our business is strategic planning, and part of our profession is it's mandatory for us to have business plans, to have goals. We have to sit down and figure out what those are. And that's not necessarily the most pressing issue of any day. When you get up at 5 in the morning to go to practice, I'm not usually thinking about what is my strategic thinking of the day, but it is important, and we need to dedicate ourselves to learning and putting those plans in place. But it's very easy for the not so important stuff to creep up, even though it's seemingly urgent. We all have those days, right? The kid got sick at school, and now your life can get derailed any number of ways. And then there's the urgent and important, which hopefully great example is that I wasn't planning on having a client meeting tomorrow on Halloween. Got a phone call from a client, he wants to sign paperwork. So, that's urgent, that's important. I'm going to make sure that I clear my calendar. But then there's the danger zone. I like down there, I call that the Facebook zone, the little pink guy sitting back in his chair, commenting on social media. It's fun. It's not important. It's not urgent. You can do it anytime, but it tends to be time wasters, and especially in our day and age where all of us have our phones 24/7, it's easy to waste a lot of time. So I just kind of call this my strategic quadrants, and you want to avoid spending time on the bottom and really spend time in planning and follow through, and those things that are urgent and important, and maybe important but not urgent, but focus on where you spend your time. So my number one tip for time management, honestly, is prioritize. Prioritize everything in your life. Everything in my life has some sort of priority or value attached to it. A great exercise if you're not driving or if you're at the desk is, write down 3 of your top priorities. And I find this very helpful to do regularly. Write down top priorities for yourself. What's your top priority for the week? What's your top priority for the month? What's your top priority for the year? And this can work both personally and professionally. We had a big priority meeting this week. So that was this week's Monday morning was like, we have a big meeting. I hope it goes well. And everything was focused on that client meeting. for the month. We ran several seminars this month because it's our kind of coming into the year end. So we had our priorities set at our firm, and what my roles were in those were set out. So by having those goals and putting them in writing, it helps you think and focus, which leads me to the little visual there of my little jar with the sand and the stones and the pebbles. It's a great visual representation of prioritization. So if you figured out what your top priorities are, you can fill out a life jar pretty easy. So a life jar is a concept that I learned through Lilly, which is the Leadership in Life Institute. It's a program that NAPA offers for its members. It's probably one of the best value adds for both your professional life and your personal life. And the concept of the life jar, as you can see there, is there's rocks, there's stones, and then there's sand. So rocks are the things that are unmovable. They're the most important things in any given week, month, year. Basically, those are your foundation stones. And the pebbles are the things that are really important you need to get to, and they have to be done, but they're a little bit smaller, not quite as giant. And the sand is everything in between. And the story is basically if somebody came to you with a bag of rocks, a bag of stones, and a bag of sand in a jar, if you put the sand in first and then put everything else, and you're not going to fit everything in the jar. The only way to fit everything in the jar is basically to put the big things in first, then the smaller, and then the smaller. So if you start out with your foundation rocks, everything else starts to fall into place. And so I like to joke, this isn't exactly my life jar. I don't really cook. That would not be on a rock in my jar. But my family, my friends, like I had mentioned, my gym time, my time with my husband, those are all rocks in my world. Those are things that the rest of my life gets scheduled around. Work is really, really important to me. It's central to everything else that I can do in my life. So all of those things become rocks. And then the other pressing matters become pebbles and sand. I like to refer to sand as getting groceries, taking care of the yard, things that, or some emails are a great example. Returning emails, some of the sand emails we get, that's stuff that you can get to, that's not on that top priorities. So it's a great exercise to think about and draw out and make yourself focus on what your rocks, your pebbles, and your sand are, because once you do that, it makes it really easy to prioritize what your week, your day, your month, your year, it really helps you focus on how that's going to lay out. It helps you adhere to that as well. Scheduling. Everybody hears about scheduling, right? Do it. I schedule almost everything. It's and even schedules get messed up, but find a system that works for you. I struggled with this in my early years, and sometimes it can get hard with certain companies have you using certain systems that don't talk to other systems. I've migrated over the years. I do everything has to be in the phone. If it's not in the phone, it doesn't exist. I feel terrible, but sometimes it's one of those, it's like, gosh, if it's not in my Google Calendar, I'm not going to hear about it. So find some system, and I know that about myself. So now even if it comes in on a different calendar, I Google invite myself to stuff. But we've got so many different apps. There's phone apps, there's computer apps. We've got Outlook, we've got Google. A lot of people still love pen and paper. I'm not going to lie, I still use a lot of pen and paper for my activity management. The act of writing something down makes it very real. So there's a value to that. There's a system that I just learned about called bullet journaling, which is it can be as in-depth as you want it, but it organizes your whole life, not just your work life or your home life. It kind of integrates the whole thing into scheduling and journaling and tracking, which is a really neat concept. SAM is the abbreviation for a system that I learned through NAPA. It's Sales Activity Management. And I'm pretty sure that there's a discount for NAPA members. If not, the owner is a huge supporter of NAPA and would be happy to walk you through anything through their sites. But the Sales Activity Management was built for sales and to manage your activity, because the only success in sales is activity. Activity leads to success. I'm sure you guys, no matter how new you are, probably realized every morning at 9 a.m. when the office opens, there's not a queue of people waiting to see you. You kind of got to go get them. So that really helps if you manage your activity to help you with your sales. But this works well for families as well. This is something I learned. I had mentioned I'm in a blended family. I had to learn real quick how to schedule everything and take that on so that our family life was a little less stressful. And one of the things that we started using was a family calendar through Google. So it kind of works both professionally and personally, but definitely in the sales world, you've got to schedule your time. You've got to be networking. You've got to be prospecting. You've got to do case design. You've got to be learning. So there's a lot to schedule in any given week or month or day, really. So find a system that you'll stick to. That also helps. And that is a huge, huge turning point in most people's careers. This is when delegation is something that is a struggle, I think, at first, because when we're new, it's kind of hard to delegate when you're the low man on the totem pole. I'll be the first one to admit that. But you can figure out certain resources that you might have. Does your office, does your agency have support staff that can help you? What resources are at your fingertips? A good resource that NAPA offers is a virtual assistant. That's a fabulous resource for somebody if you're just trying to find maybe a little help, but you don't need a full-time assistant yet. That could be a resource for you. You have to figure out what you personally have to do and what you can kind of push off. A lot of agents know it's like if they're not in front of people, they're not selling, they're not closing cases. So what do you do to make your time more efficient? The stuff that's not going to get you in front of people, can you push that off? Do you have a case design or advanced planning department? A lot of places, a lot of companies offer that, where they have, if you do the data gathering, you kind of know where you want your case to go, you can have them do the case design with you or even for you. And that frees you up so that you're not stuck for hours trying to figure out how to maximize the case. Do you have office administrators that can help you even just calling for parameds, following up with paramed companies, all of our lovely APS reports that we all have to get? Or on the property casualty side, if you're in a multi-line agency, do you have administrators who can help you up with your paperwork there? There's a ton of paperwork in the multi-line world. So find out what resources, what can you delegate to free up time? Because if you can get more time in front of more people, that's going to lead to higher results at the back end. But again, the key to delegation is knowing what your clone can do. As I said, it works professionally and personally. And, a great tip is being creative. Like I said, being young or being new in the business, I certainly couldn't afford all the services I wanted, but I could figure out what I could do creatively. What can my clone do? The lawn service, right? That's one of my favorites. The lawn service is the neighbor kit. My husband and I do not have the time, nor do we want to cut the grass. I do a lot of gardening, that's fine, but I am not going to be cutting the grass anytime soon. And it's also a hassle. So that's something that if you can push it off for a couple bucks to the neighbor kid, that's great. If you can afford a lawn service, even better. They do even more. The cleaning service, or AKA my kid. That's part of living in a household is figuring out who can do what. But when we get overwhelmed, or if I'm really busy at work, that's something that gets pushed off. Here's a couple bucks, kid. Happy to put it in your allowance jar. And that frees up my time and my headspace, that I'm not focused on something that is not productive. In our life, we can almost delegate everything. Meal prep, there's meal delivery services. You can go online and get your grocery order and pick it up at Walmart on your way home. Those are the kinds of things that if it's non-productive, but it's urgent, get it off your plate. Find a way to have a clone, if you will, do it and take care of that for you and free up your headspace and your time. So cash flow is an interesting topic that I think we're all a work in progress. I don't know. There's probably some people who have this down pat, but this is another, as I said, I was interested in this topic because I see people otherwise would be so successful fail at these two key skills. And this is one of them. Cash flow is a huge area of failure in our industry. So just be aware of that. And being aware of something helps you focus on it. Because unlike other professions, we have to learn very early how to manage an uneven cash flow. We're entrepreneurs. And if you think of our business like an entrepreneurship, there's, ups and downs, ups and downs. That's part of an uneven cash flow business. Cases pay at different rates. They pay at different times. You can't live case to case in this industry. That is an easy way to fail, is to be rich on the first of the month and the following first of the month before. So make a plan of how you're going to manage your cash flow, that uneven cash flow, and how you're going to deal with that as you grow your business. Planning, we tell our clients to do it, right? We all sit with business owners, we sit with clients, we help them come up with plans. We need to do it as well. A great cash flow tip is, what do you need to live on each month? What do you need to pay your bills? And then figure out a plan of what you're going to do with that extra money. If you hit that big case that you're working on, are you going to put that money back into a marketing budget? Are you going to earmark it for expansion, possibly buying up other agencies? Are you going to earmark it for education, more classes, more skill development? If you have a plan and you know where the money is going, it's a lot easier to manage the money. If you don't know where that money is going, it's really easy to disappear into fun stuff. A mentor, NAPA has provided me with so many mentors, but mentors can really help you, because what a mentor can do, not just give you cash, that'd be nice, but what they can actually do for you is, we have so many different business models in our industry. We have asset managers, we have life and DI specialists, we have multi-line specialists, we have all kinds of different specialties, and everybody kind of takes a personal spin on that. If you have a mentor who has aligned their business practice similar to how you want to run your business, that's a great person who then can give you very specific advice on how to manage, let's say, expansion. Let's say you have a mentor who his expansion has been buying other agencies as agents have retired, and that's something you see yourself doing. Great way to find a mentor through NAPA and somebody who does that. They can help guide you in very specific. This is obviously webinars and knowledge is usually general, not specific to anybody, but mentor can really help you and help you maybe not stumble on the things that they may have stumbled on. The cash flow priorities is super important, because you have to, just like our clients, your needs and your wants, right? Our clients all want things but may not, or need things but want the wants, right? They all need a car, they all want an expensive car. So it's the same thing in our business. What are your cash flow priorities? What do you need to have to make your business success? Do you need a certain amount of leads every month? So you've allocated X amount of dollars every month has to go to leads, because you know that that's going to keep your pipeline full. Do you need X amount of dollars to go to networking, seminar work? Those are things that you need to plan out so you can account for it. So my needs versus wants, this is a funny story, because again, I've seen people fail in this industry who were tremendous people, but maybe didn't manage certain aspects of this business very well. We use this slide with clients too, right? We all need a car, we all want the vet, right? We all need a house, and I only put a modest house here, but I'll tell you what, in downtown Naperville, that's probably $1 million. So, or in DC or in a lot of places. So we all need someplace to live. And what do we need versus what do we want? I'm not gonna lie, we all need a vacation. We got to get away from home at some point, but do we need a vacation every month? So we'd all want one, right? So a great story, I had a friend of mine tell me just last month, and it made me chuckle because it's so true. He was brand new in the business, had placed, been doing well, had placed several cases, but had been working on a very large case. He had finally gotten this case and placed this very large case. And he went, wow, I've made it. I've got X amount of dollars in the bank. And he went out and actually bought a Corvette. And it was a couple years used, as he likes to use. It wasn't brand new, but still he went out and bought a Corvette. So about 6 months later, he realizes he's in a cash flow crisis because he spent that whole nest egg. So he was waiting for cases to come in, didn't know when his next case was going to land, and was in a pinch. So he had to sell that vet at a decent loss. As anybody knows, if you've had to sell a car within a couple months of buying a car, you don't usually make money. So he learned from that, and he said that was the biggest learning lesson he ever had. And he now allocates a percentage of every case that he writes goes into his resource bucket, and that helps him manage his cash flow now. So hopefully, when you hear something like that, you can kind of mentally log it. And hopefully, it's tempting to do when you place the case, maybe not buy a car, maybe go on an extra vacation. But remember, we're in an uneven cash flow. And when you're in an uneven cash flow, you've got to manage those big cases so that you don't end up having to sell an asset at a loss to keep you going. Tips from my business owner. I actually did ask a couple of my business owners because I really do feel it gets lost that most of us are running an entrepreneurship business. And when you're running an entrepreneurship business, other business owners are a great resource. And I asked, what are some of your tips when you were starting? And they said, know how to optimize your operating budget. They said that's something that a lot of people get tripped up on. What can you pay monthly so that you lower your overall monthly outflow? And that will reduce those costs on a monthly basis. Now, you're still paying for that asset, but you're not paying your entire cash flow in one budget. So, look at what you can optimize and what maybe makes sense. Take advantage of discounts and reduced rates where you can. Most business owners join all kinds of associations specific to them, and then also maybe general, because they can pick up discounts. A great one NAPA has is Office Depot. You can basically become a preferred member, and they'll deliver stuff at a discounted price right to your office. It's fantastic. But what else can you discount? What can you get at a discount that you might otherwise have to pay full price? A friend of mine also in NAPA had mentioned there's a bunch of places you can buy gift cards at a discount. Like, people got a gift card that they're never going to use, and they basically sell it for whatever this place is going to give them, and you can buy them at a discount, and the card is worth full value. But now, instead of maybe passing on a $50 dinner card, you only maybe paid $38 for that to do a thank you event or something like that. Learning models that work, I touched on that earlier. Attending NAPA meetings, attending industry functions, you will find people that maybe will be able to help you and learn a cash flow model that works for that specific type of business. And then, like I said, like my friend who now learned through trial and error, be ready for shortfalls and delays. We all dream about those big cases, but it takes a long time to wrangle most of them. So in the meantime, you have to survive. You have to manage your cash flow. You have to manage your activity. And you have to be able to be in this for the long game and not just the quick sale, because those sales cycles can take a long time. And if you're not prepared for that, that can be very detrimental or career ending. I've seen that happen. So that's one of my when you keep that front of mind and you manage that, it helps you avoid that pitfall. And some of my final thoughts, just to sum up, prioritize, delegate, schedule. That's all priority number one in managing your time. Treat this as any other business. We have a lot of freedom. With that freedom comes a great responsibility to yourself. It's so easy to call it an early day. It's so easy to get a phone call that you got to pick up one of the kids and you're working on a case. And granted, sometimes you can't avoid it, but other times it's, we need to make sure that we're allocating ourselves the time to learn this business that we need and not taking an easy out or mismanaging our time. Using a system and holding yourself to it. As I said, I'm big on systems. I log everything. I do it athletically. I do it professionally. Everything is tracked, monitored, and logged. And when I can look back at the end of the year, it helps me analyze what I did well, where I need help, what I need to watch out for next year. Managing your activity and cash flow is a never-ending game. That's something that we do every day, every year here when we're goal planning, goal setting. So plan, implement, monitor, review, like everything else in your life. Come up with a plan, come up with something that works, monitor it, and review it periodically and see what's working. And that data will help you manage your time, manage your assets, and then hopefully help you succeed. And then this is just my basic contact info. If you need to get a hold of me or have any questions, be happy to answer anything. I did put my email there, not my cell phone, only because I am horrendous about answering the cell phone if I don't know the number. So it's probably just shoot me an email. If you have something to talk about, I'll give you my cell phone and then I'll have your contact information. But in our digital age, it's amazing how many telemarketing calls you get on a cell phone, right? So with that, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer or go into depth on anything else. And that I hope, thank you all for listening. Thank you for investigating what NAFA can do for you. I can't recommend enough getting involved, going to meetings, and learning from the best. It has made all the difference in my life. It's made all the difference in my world. I would not be who I am without my NAFA family, without my NAFA friends, and without relationships like Zach and in our home office at NAFA, who is just doing a tremendous job of providing value in our industry. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Camille. I really appreciate your time today, taking your time out of your day to present to us, and gives me a lot to think about. What are my sands, my rocks, my pebbles? And I hope that you all think about it as well. If there are no further questions or any questions, then I'd like to thank everybody for joining us, not only today, but through all of the month of October. And actually, Camille, are the slides available for this presentation? Oh, are you there?
Yep.
Lost you. Oh, are the slides available?
Yeah, I can email you the whole slide presentation.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of their week, has a good Halloween if it's something that people are participating in. Yeah, if anyone likes to join us for November starts next week, so there we go. And always email me at recruitment@nafa.org if you need anything or have any questions. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks. Bye.